Play a video game that requires you to shoot or even look at things that was made in the past 25 years. It most likely uses dual stick aiming. Left stick to strafe, right stick to aim. There were a few shooters that came earlier to use this control scheme, but Halo was the one that made it the gold standard that everybody followed. Prior to this, there wasn't a standard. Well, there was keyboard and mouse, but there definitely wasn't a standard with controllers. The N64 only had one stubby little terrible stick, and different games had players doing different things to get over this ugly truth. The Dreamcast had an official keyboard and mouse accessory because controllers just couldn't cut it for shooters. So, try using a controller for a web browser on the PS4, or something like the TV mode in Mario Maker, or the console version of Sims. These all require that you use an analog stick as if it were a mouse cursor, and it feels as bad as it sounds. An analog stick simply doesn't allow as much precision as a mouse does for delicate movements. It's much more limited in travel distance and speed. You can speed up the movement, but then you're essentially playing darts with your cursor. Now look at modern shooters. I would never say that dual stick aiming isn't good. Tons of people do and have gotten very skilled at it, but there's a reason that shooters using this control scheme have some form of aim assist, making your reticles stick to targets for minor precise movements, even by the slightest bit. The original Halo used this because even back then they recognized that the stick alone wasn't good enough to suffice for precise movements. A good compromise is ADS scaling. The stick movement is normally really fast, but reduces once you're looking down the sight of whatever you're shooting with. This makes aiming much easier, and it's become just as standard as the dual stick aiming itself.
Shit!
But unless you were using a sniper rifle, it was unlikely that this was even used in early dual stick shooters, which leads to a lot of Even with ADS, it still can't hold a candle to mouse and keyboard. Put them in a 1v1, and it's like an Olympian competing against somebody already on their way to the mortuary. I think gyro aiming should be a new standard option, not mandatory, just an option for the people who prefer it. Me. I prefer it. People hear about gyro aiming and then immediately dismiss it, throwing into the pile of goofy Nintendo-esque gimmicks that have no place, like the Wii Remote. And don't get me wrong, Nintendo absolutely has done gyro aiming incorrectly. There was a period where Nintendo tried to push gyro as a total replacement for camera control with the stick entirely. Z-targeting in Ocarina of Time 3D had gyro movement, which is annoying but fairly unintrusive. Splatoon relies on the gyroscope camera at all times to the point where the stick can't even move the camera up or down, which is annoying and intrusive. I'd be a bigger fan of Splatoon if the stick let you move the camera up and down, and maybe if they did something like the gyro was only on if you were actively firing, something like that. If the entire camera system revolves around gyro controls, it's probably going to result in you holding the controller in a goofy position like this because it loses calibration. The console version of Portal does this too. And do I even need to explain Star Fox Zero? For a more recent example, Metroid Prime 4, good god, get it away from me. If you hadn't been able to turn off the motion controls in the settings, I'd have put this game down almost immediately. Look at this. But Zelda's had it correct since the 2010s. The stick is used for large movements and the gyroscope is used for minor movements. Try aiming the bow and arrow in the remaster of Wind Waker and then the original, and then tell me which is better. Many games nowadays are beginning to support the option, and I believe that every game that requires you to precisely shoot, aim, or even look at something have the option. I'm not going to start playing Fortnite, but the fact that gyro aiming makes me want to give it a shot. The Lastopus works a lot better if I don't have to use the PS3's convex stick, and it's better with gyro too. Halo doesn't have official gyro support, but you can manage by mangling your Steam input settings. So unless I feel like playing on a CRT, this is the best way to play Halo with a controller. Get good, you're probably thinking, and yes, that is definitely a valid response, but imagine back in the 2000s, Halo had been out for years and all shooters used dual sticks. Then you go back to play GoldenEye with your buddies and your friend says, "Hey, this feels awful to play, I hate this. The controls are terrible." And then you say, "Get good," like, yes, I can get good, but there are better options than this. Technology has advanced. We don't need to deal with this anymore, please.